We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. We know this antiphon from making the Stations of the Cross. And today we celebrate, you may have noticed with some solemnity, the great feast of the exaltation of the Holy Cross. Indeed, it is a feast of exaltation, of triumph, because it is the triumph of life over death, of love over hatred, of self-emptying love over greed and power. What we celebrate is the love of God. We hear Jesus tell Nicodemus, God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him might not perish, but may have eternal life. The second reading today, that song, that hymn from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians, the second chapter, is a great meditation piece, something that we can go back to over and over again. It really tells that great love story of God for his people, of God for each one of us, for you, for me. God so loved the world, he emptied himself. Or as St. Paul puts it, though he was in the form of God, Jesus did not deem equality with God something to be grasped, but rather he emptied himself. He emptied himself, taking on the form of a slave, coming in human likeness. God stepped into human history. God, who is mighty and glorious, who controls all things, emptied himself out of love, took on human flesh, being born not in palatial glory, but in the likeness of a slave, a humble servant, in the poorest of circumstances, walking among those who were in need and those who were self-proclaimed sinners. God emptied himself. He humbled himself, becoming obedient even to death, death on the cross, the most ignominious of deaths, violent, humiliating, painful. This is all part of God's ongoing gift of self-emptying love. And that ongoing gift is actually the path to triumph. Indeed, because of this, God highly exalted him, raised him above every other name. God raised him up. Jesus conquered death through his resurrection. Jesus reminds us of what we heard in the first reading about that scene of Moses holding up the serpents, telling people to gaze upon that which was afflicting them as the cure for their wounds, as the cure for their sinful wounds, their sinfulness, their interior sinfulness. And so Jesus talks about the Son of Man being lifted up so that we might look upon him, that we might believe in him, and that through this belief, we might have eternal life. So on this day, on this feast of the triumph of the cross, of the exaltation of the Holy Cross, we look to the crucifix. We look to Jesus, who out of humble love for each one of us, emptied himself, gave himself up, died on the cross, and rose from the dead. And we seek to claim for ourselves, too, that triumph. We seek to claim in the way we live our lives, that we might ourselves find that path of Jesus, of self-emptying love, of giving ourselves totally to God, giving ourselves totally in service to those whom we love, and even giving of ourselves in service to those who are strangers to us, who are in need. Pouring out ourselves over and over and over again in self-emptying love, and seeing in that the path of true life, the path of true victory, triumph of love over hatred, of life over death, and of self-emptying love over all kinds of human grasping.